You never cried? No, never. And somebody going, you're cool with that? And you'd be like, that is like me at 15 being like, no, what? Oh, I messed up. Like I've never cried as a kid.
So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Super funny, super needed in the year we live in right now. How was it for you yesterday to see yourself on the screen at the premiere with people around you laughing?
I think that's one of my favorite moments.
Yeah, it's inspiring. It feels so satisfying when you work for hours on a moment and you're going, gosh, I hope that plays the way we want it to play. And then they hear it play in the audience, especially, and you get a double dose of joy because you'll hear an adult laugh and the kid laugh for two completely different reasons. You're like, yeah, we nailed that moment, you know.
It's a very good feeling. I mean, if we wanted to make movies strictly for ourselves, we'd shoot them on our iPhone and then just watch them like this. So we do this to make movies for an audience. So I was asked the other day, like, what's your favorite moment? And I think it's the moment where an audience can enjoy your work. You work so hard to make these movies. They spend so much time in post-production. We work so hard to promote these movies to get everybody to go to see them. So the reward is when they see them and when they like them. And it was really special to be in a theater yesterday for everybody to enjoy.
Yeah, it was special.
I feel like we haven't had a movie like that in a really long time. And do you think specifically in the year we live right now, like 2019, is it needed? The world is so hard right now.
Well, I mean, we could talk, problems and positives and negatives all day. I know that there are still families out there.
Yeah, exactly right.
And
there's 8 billion of us.
I would like to speculate that they do probably enjoy doing things together. So this is a vehicle for families to go and enjoy all together. It's not like drop the kids off at one movie and we'll go see another movie, or leave the kids at home because we're going to go see this movie, or give the kids some money and then go out to see the movie. You can all go in together. You can all sit and enjoy and laugh together. And I think I'm glad that we made a vehicle for everybody to enjoy.
I say, yeah, why not start? If we're trying to rebuild community in this kind of divisive era, if we're trying to rebuild community, let's just start in the home. Okay, let's just start by talking to our kids and our sisters and our aunts and our parents.
Yeah.
So that, like you said, like John just said, this is a vehicle. We're also living in a new cultural era where there's lots of entertainment that's being made for very particular niches. And so let's one of the niches be the everybody niche,
yeah.
You know. So I'm kind of thrilled. You're right. We don't see this often for both of those reasons.
Nowadays, the stuff that casts a wide net is like the superhero universes.
Right,
so
exactly,
if you're
yeah.
not, you're right. It's
It's
very rare that we're not spending $350 million on something, and hopefully it's something that the families can enjoy.
Yeah.
Smoke jumpers or firefighters is a very heroic job. What's the most heroic thing you both have ever done in life?
The most heroic thing.
Yes. You ever saved anybody?
Have I ever saved anybody? I mean, it's so interesting. I think anytime you can just do a small act of kindness, I think it's heroic. I think people sometimes think, well, what smoke jumpers do is unbelievable and amazing, and such a small amount of humans do it and are genetically made to do it. I think a small act of kindness, like I can remember being in graduate school and I was on campus one time and there was a young man who I could tell from his affect that he was developmentally disabled in some capacity, and he was lost. And it was just a matter of going and talking to him and trying to figure out where his caretaker was. And if you can do that, heroism doesn't have to be this enormous thing. And so I think that anybody can be heroic in a moment if you're just being kind to your fellow human. And I think it's what makes us a specific species, is being kind to each other, or thinking outside of ourselves about another. You know?
I couldn't agree more. I don't think heroism has to be a level of enormity. I think the most heroic thing I've ever done is be comfortable enough with myself and to be vulnerable with those that I love.
You're doing quite a lot to make a wish. You're making a lot of kids' dreams come true. When did you get into that, and why did you want to do that?
I got into it in 2002, and it's because the company I worked for had a pre-existing relationship with Make-A-Wish. But once I found out what Make-A-Wish was, I was kind of shuffled into my first appearance of like, hey, can you meet this kid? Because the child was there to see someone else, to see another WWE superstar. But we try to give them a great experience, so they meet as many of us as we can. And I took pictures with the family and said hello and everything. And after I left, I'm like, well, what was that for? And they was like, oh, that was for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. We're just trying to create a total experience. And I was like, what's the Make-A-Wish Foundation? And when I was explained that it was that child's wish to be there, that's like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
Like, so if you're given one thing, what is that? And if your answer is to hang out with John Cena, that's the most flattering thing that someone can say to someone. So I really take great pride in trying to make that a total immersive experience. Our director, Andy Fickman, was the same way. We had a wonderful Make-A-Wish in this movie.
In the movie, she's in the movie.
She just wanted to come and see a movie be made. And Andy was like, that is not enough. You are going to be in the movie. So when you watch the movie and we're all rounding a corner with our shopping
When we're in
cart,
the store buying the gifts for the kids.
she's the person that looks at each shopping cart going, what? What? So like, you got to put this person in, and she was at the premiere too. Like, you want to talk about making awesome things happen. I'm like brimming with excitement just talking about it, and that's really cool. And that's why I'm with Make-A-Wish, because that feeling is something you wanna bestow on people, because it's equally rewarding to yourself.
And that girl who was in the movie, she's very sick, obviously.
Well, I mean, the reason that the Make-A-Wish charity exists is to grant wishes for children and families that are facing life-threatening illness. So they have a tough set of circumstances in front of them, but Make-A-Wish believes in the power of hope. And what I can tell you is we shot the movie just about 9 months ago, and she was at the premiere and watching the movie yesterday, and it looked fantastic.
Terrific and joyful.
So never underestimate the power of hope.
Thank you so much for doing that, for sure. The kids were keeping you on your toes. So what kind of kids were you when you were growing up? Did you keep your parents on your
I
toes?
was awful. I was an awful child. I really was. I think that's why I strive and push myself to be honest with my values and stick to my value and belief system, because I was such a crappy kid. I was not well behaved.
I was a very shy kid. I know. Everybody goes, what? It's taken me a long time to get out of my shell, but I was a shy kid, and I was a very obedient kid. I was not. I only in my life have I started to kind of possess childlike qualities as I get older. It's like Mork from Ork. I get younger as I get older.
Benjamin Button sort of thing?
Benjamin Buttons. I'm going the opposite way. I was very kind of shy and anxious as a kid, and as I've gotten older, I hopefully I get more of a sense of myself. I'm more in myself, and I like to have a lot of joy on movie sets. This was one of the perfect examples of that. So I'm the opposite of what people would have thought I was as a kid. Yeah.
Were you criers as kids?
I was not.
No?
I grew up in a house with 5 boys, and my father could not have been more of a man's man. I do not remember crying as a child. Like when the scene in the movie where it's like, you never cried? No, never. And somebody going, you're cool with that? And you'd be like, that is like me at 15 being like, no, what? Oh, I messed up. Like I've never cried as a kid. Yeah.
I was not a crier. No, I am now. I am now. Oh yeah. I'm like, what am I trying to hide?
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
what I mean? That movie touched me, I'm gonna cry. That song gets to me, I'm gonna cry. But I wasn't not much as a kid. Like I think it's part of people who are drawn to comedy or get into comedy very often are hiding something or pushing something down. So there's lots of tap dancing instead of exploring your real emotions. And I did that frequently when I was younger. But as I've gotten older, I've kind of opened up a little bit more. Yeah.
Smoke jumpers is a huge elite, and they just train like the
Unbelievable.
machines. And they don't have social skills anymore. Can you like relate to that? Maybe even like in this industry, or you like wrestling and in the movie industry and everything. Do you kind of like focus too much and forget yourself?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily make a broad judgment on one profession. I think the takeaway is if you don't have an appropriate balance, then yes, things will lack. If you are completely enveloped in your work and way too close and don't have any other outlets in life, then yeah, you don't necessarily know how to walk into a room and introduce yourself to everybody because you've spent all day and all night focused on your work. So I think if, to exist as a human being in functional society, you just have to constantly fight to maintain balance. That's all.
I couldn't, that's good. I don't know if I could say it any better because I try to spend, I live here in New York City. I try to spend as much time on trains as I can. Sometimes you'll be on the train and people will be like, man, why are you on the train? And I'm like, because I want to be here with you. I want to be on the train because the train's the easiest way to get from A to B.
Yeah.
I'm not more special than you.
Yeah.
I want to get to my destination as quickly as possible. I want to be here with you. So I'm on the train because it keeps you in touch with how everybody else lives. And if you're in a jet or a car and you're isolating yourself, it doesn't, I don't know. Also, how do you portray other people or get a sense of what it is?
Being in isolation.
Be in isolation. If you're in isolation, I want to walk in their shoes. What's it like to walk in the grocery store employee's shoes, or the janitor's shoes, or the person who runs a nuclear facility shoes, or a guy who works at the sneaker store? If you're not out in the world and bumping into other people, you don't get that opportunity to have that encyclopedia of experiences within you. And you also, like you said about the social skill issues, look at what you're doing right now. We get interviewed all day. People are asking us questions about ourselves all day. And you want to maintain balance so that you eventually come outside of yourselves and ask others about themselves. It's maintaining balance is the perfect way of saying it.
And I think that bodes with any profession. You can work in an office, you can work at a store, you can work for an online company. If you don't have the balance and you dive into whatever your work is, if you dive into it and that's your purpose and your sole thing to exist for, it will be all that you have in life.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a matter of, with whatever you do, it's just a matter of finding balance.